And I never repeat I said this shit to you because I don't want nobody thinking I'm fucking soft. But every black man worked his salt and want his child to be better than he was. Shit, I had third grade education, come out the country, picking cotton and shit. They never thought I was gonna be shit. Then your daddy was born. Went off to college and school made me proud as hell. I never told him that, but I'm proud of him. Then he had you, and I'm proud of you too. You ain't so damn smart, way smarter than I've ever been. You hear me? You gonna be all right, son. We did all we could. We fought like hell, them motherfuckers trying to hold us down. Now it's y'all turn to fight.
Yep.
But y'all missing it. Letting them trick you on that TikTok and Instagram and all that shit. Trick you into thinking that your heritage don't matter. Nigga, you better remember something. People paid for you to be in this damn seat. That's the problem with you young motherfuckers. Y'all don't sit there and appreciate the shit that we went through. Got to look back and see what the fuck we went through. Think just because, oh, life is better for me. No, nigga, somebody had to pay for that shit. That's them motherfucking crackers back there. That's what they think of you. You dry your motherfucking eyes, man. The world is tough. You get in that fight. When you don't feel like fighting, get up and fight some more. Shit, that's what it means to be a black. Be a motherfucking nigga. You fight. Every day,
yeah.
You gonna be all right. Shit, we done already did the heavy lifting.
No
Every
doubt.
generation before me did the heavy lifting. All you young niggas got to do is live in it. And look here, you think what white folk do to us is bad? Look at what niggas doing to each other. Shit, killing each other, doing all kind of crazy shit. Ain't trying to help nobody no more. I don't know what the fuck wrong with y'all. I can't stand it. I can't stand what's happening.
Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. What? Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Get it, Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Get it, Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Get it, Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Go, Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Get it, Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa. Aaron, Pierre, that's Mufasa.
Yo. What's going on? What's going on, man? This your boy Mufasa, man. And guess what? We here for the late night. The late night, man. Y'all go ahead and hit that daggone like button on the way in for your boy. Late night news edition. You know we gonna get all around the globe. And what we gonna do is we gonna take a look at the news, man, for the day, man. You know, man. Yeah. We gonna do that. We gonna do that. And you know, hey, it is what it is. You know, in the day, like I said, it was some hot topics in the news today. One of which, Mr. Jessie Jackson passed today. There's a little memorial, whatever you thought about him. You know, whatever you thought about him. Some of you thought good of him. Some of you thought bad. Some of you thought he was a shyster. Whatever you thought about him, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But today, like I said, they kind of remembered him in different places. And like I said, we're going to go around from that to some more on the Nancy Guthrie case, to Trump making the big announcement involving Iran, right? Like I said, it's always something going on all around. They always doing something every day. So guess what? We warm up a little bit. This little bit and get cool off. You know, give it a little bit of weather. All right. Right? But off the rip, man, like I said, we're going to take a look at Jessie Jackson, man.
Pull the head. Never turn back. Our time has come.
The civil rights icon died early this morning at the age of 84.
Good afternoon to you, and thank you for joining us here at 4 o'clock. I'm Marion Brooks.
And I'm Stephen Holt. It's great to be with you this afternoon. Today, the city of Chicago and really the entire nation are reflecting on the journey of Reverend Jesse Jackson.
From his protest beginnings in college to working alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. to twice running for president, Reverend Jackson's life has impacted generations.
Our political reporter, Marianne Ahern, takes a look back at some of the many highlights.
Few ever roared from the pulpit or podium like Jesse Lewis Jackson.
I have determined that I will be what I want to be. Fly a plane, build a bridge, run for Congress, run for president.
Born in Greenville, South.
Man, look, they going back to the old clips, man. A lot of these clips y'all don't even remember about Jesse, man.
Full athlete. He won a football scholarship to the University of Illinois, but headed home after only a year. He left, but in 1966, at the age of 25, he returned to study at Chicago Theological Seminary. He was young, ambitious, and increasingly controversial.
I am somebody.
Chicago became his base, his presence and power growing as a civil rights leader and as a politician.
Man, all this stuff was written before 1990 with Jesse.
From our house to White House, our time has come.
In 1984, Jackson unsuccessfully sought the Democratic presidential nomination. He ran again in 19
Jesse even ran for president.
before bowing out. He earned a primetime slot at the party's national convention and urged the nation to dream.
When my name goes in nomination, your name goes in nomination. I was born in the slum, but the slum was not born in me. And it wasn't born in you, and you can make it.
Jackson was the most prominent and controversial civil rights leader of his generation. He led crusades fighting black.
Man, hey, what you think about that? The most prominent and controversial. Okay.
For generations to fight the growing dangers of illegal drugs.
Down with dope, up with hope.
Still, controversy was an early and constant companion. He was in Memphis in 1968 when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. The morning after, Jackson appeared on television in a shirt he said was covered in King's blood, raising questions, according to author Barbara Reynolds.
No one knows where he got the blood because he didn't come near Dr. King.
There was blood on me because he was bleeding profusely. He had been shot in the neck.
What we have seen is the invention.
Man, do y'all think Jesse had anything to do with it, man? I've heard a lot of different takes on that.
His platform. He helped oust Mayor Richard J. Daley and his allies from the 1972 Democratic National Convention. He battled Mayor Jane Byrne over minority participation over what was to become Chicago Fest. Chicago was his home, but the world was his stage. Fighting apartheid in South Africa, supporting Palestinian rights, and in 1984, securing the release of a downed American pilot in Syrian-held territory in Lebanon. The remarkable life of Jesse Lewis Jackson began as the son of an unwed teenager.
Hey, man, I swear, I hope they talk about me like this when I go, Lord, they doing the number for Jesse.
Gift of oratory.
I can be what I want to be because there's a me that makes me me.
And the ability to seize the moment in both controversy and conviction. Jackson's name will long be remembered. And in a statement that may best sum up his life's journey, the Reverend Jesse Jackson said this: "Those of us who dare to be change agents, who lead by molding opinion and not following opinion polls, always rob the edges of our society."
What a life, what a legacy. No question, he will not be forgotten. Jackson's son, Jesse Jr., has a radio talk show, and he didn't miss it today, despite his father's death.
And incredibly, he shared some of those final moments with his dad today, hearing his last breath.
And about 12:35 this morning, I heard a gasp, and it was a deep and a long gasp. So I went over to check on him, and I didn't sense any movement. And I said, something's wrong. I then went over to wake up my mother, and I said, Mom, wake up. Something's not right here. She looked at him very carefully, and she said, it's happened. Dad's gone. And we all began crying and praying and trying to hold the pieces of our family together, and everyone was breaking down. And I couldn't believe it.
But hey, man, this is the passing of Reverend Jesse Jackson. I guess they got the family up here. You know, they got it all up here, man. You know what I mean? This is the story. He just passed. So I guess, you know, this is the flowers and the sad stuff.
People close to Reverend Jackson all day today.
He has. And you know, you've certainly covered Jackson over the years. Those Saturday Operation Push meetings, a lot of people liken them to church. Reporters didn't want to miss anything because they knew that news was going to be made there.
Right. It was a must. It was a must go to. Absolutely. We knew that whether it was an upcoming election, Reverend Jackson was going to weigh in no matter the topic. You might say it was the laboratory for activism. Whatever that issue might be, the war in Iraq, an opening on the Supreme Court, a concern over clean water in Flint, Michigan. Operation Push was where you would get Reverend Jackson's take, and the elected leaders knew he was going to hold them accountable.
You talked about Jane Byrne in that story a little bit earlier, all those roles in Chicago politics. Big role on the national stage as well. I mean, Reverend Jackson had a tremendous impact on how the Democratic Party nominates its candidates. Could you talk a little bit more about that, how he was able to make that?
One of his...
Hell yeah, he did. Hey, like I said, hey, he was very entrenched in politics, man. If you ain't know, you better know Jesse Jackson was very entrenched in politics.
88, he received even more votes, 29%. He forced the Democratic Party to change how the nominee was chosen and reduce the power of those winner-take-all primaries. We spoke today to Delmarie Cobb. She had been his national press secretary for that 1988 campaign.
One of the major rules that he changed was that instead of delegates going all to one person in a state, it then became proportionality. So each candidate got a proportion of their delegates based on the vote. And that made the way for Barack Obama to become the president in 2008.
He was the bridge from Martin Luther King to Barack Obama.
Absolutely. There would be no Barack Obama had there not been a Jesse Jackson, because Jesse Jackson knew how to use his leverage in strategic ways.
I never thought of it that way. It's starting in terms of politics. They saying the path that Obama took was, you know, Jesse Jackson changed it with the delegate thing. The numbers becoming proportionate. That's very interesting. That's interesting, you know, because Jesse might have had something to do with that. He said that's about Obama had his path. So that's how one thing about his legacy that maybe got it cemented, right?
Influence. He really understood it very well. Key strategist. Thank you, Marianne.
And you had a front row seat for a lot of that. So
yes, amazing.
For sharing that with us.
Thanks, Marianne. Well, of course, there are countless of tributes out there from political figures. They're just pouring in right now. Here's a few of the notables. Former President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama said in part, Michelle got her first glimpse of political organizing at the Jackson's kitchen table when she was a teenager. This is an aside. This is not part of the quote. She was best friends with Santita Jackson, Jesse Jackson's daughter. And in his 2 historic runs for president, the quote goes on to say, he laid the foundation for my own campaign to the highest office of the land.
Governor J.B. Pritzker of the state of Illinois ordered flags at half staff and tweeted, he broke down barriers, inspired generations.
God dang, man. Y'all believe that? Man, I don't know, man. Look, I swear, I don't know if it's a bunch of posturing or whatever. You know, whether it is, whether it ain't. But anyway, look, we're going to go from talking about that. We're going to go to the man, the myth, the legend himself. That's right, Mr. Trump. We're going to go ahead and go to him, man. See what he talk about today.
Which is a lot easier to do, frankly. But these are a direct military threat to the United States of America. They're trying to drug out our country.
Oh, yeah, he talking about Iran now. He got an announcement. We talking big shit today.
They were suffering greatly, and others were able to take them over, and other countries also. They're trying to drug out our country, and we're reversing it rapidly, actually. But with the help of our great service members, we've stopped the invasion in its tracks, and we're dismantling the cartels very rapidly. And they are being declared enemies of the United States of America. They have been so declared, legally declared. More than 25,000 warriors have served in this historic operation. It is indeed an incredible and historic operation. And we've never done anything so effectively. We've had a lot of victories.
We've had a
They've
lot of
spent
victories.
night and day enduring scorching hot and bitter cold, and they've given up their holidays and their weekends working with the officers of Customs and Border Protection.
Oh, Lord, he talking about ICE again.
Already conducted nearly 13,000 patrols along the border, and today we give these great warriors the recognition that they have earned, and they have really earned it. The military component of our border security efforts is just the beginning. We're also designating the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, a big deal from a legal standpoint and military standpoint. We've ended catch and release, and we endured and ensured that anyone who sets foot across our border illegally is intercepted, arrested, and immediately deported, or if they're really bad, they're put into prison because we don't want to ever take a chance if they come back. As a result, illegal border crossings have plummeted to the lowest level ever recorded in the history of our country. Think of that. The history of our country. You can all be very proud. For the past 7 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States of America. We inherited the worst border in the history of our country, one of the worst borders, I would say, in the world. I can't imagine any border in the world being worse when they allowed 25 million people to come in. And again, many of these...
Yeah, that's pretty bad. I mean, if that stat is true, you never know what Trump is saying. You know, yeah, if it's true, that's pretty bad.
And some of the worst people on earth, they allowed to come into our country. We're getting a lot of them out. We've made a big dent. And the self-deportation is something nobody talks about, but literally millions of people are self-deporting because they don't want to be captured. Once they're captured, they don't have the chance to self-deport. They never have the chance to come back into our country. We inherited that border from an incompetent administration and turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country. So we took the worst border in the history of our country, and in a period of 2 months, we turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country. During this time, we've also achieved...
Now, how possible is that? Now, I understand you're supposed to boast your achievements, but how possible is that? That you telling me that in 2 months you got the job done? Now, come on, Mr. Trump. 2 months? 2 months and it's over with, it's done. I got the best border wall in history. That before it was the worst border wall in history. And I'm so great that in 2 months, it almost sounds unrealistic, doesn't it?
Necessarily for bad. When it's mixed with certain things, it becomes bad. And that's what's taking place in Mexico. And we've got it down to a much lower number, not satisfactory, but it will be satisfactory soon. In May, we executed the largest fentanyl bust in the history of the U.S., seizing 3 million fentanyl pills all at one time. Think of that, 3 million pills. It's
damn, 3 million pills of that Fetty Wap. Damn.
Last month, we seized another 1.7 million fentanyl pills in the state of Colorado, the poorly run state of Colorado, with a governor who's incompetent.
Oh, shit, he going after the Colorado governor.
Our wonderful Tina to come out of a jail, in a high-intensity jail, because she caught people cheating on an election, and they said she was cheating. She wasn't cheating. She went over, she looked at one of the election scams going on, and because she did that, they put her in jail for 9 years. The governor of Colorado is a weak and pathetic man who was run by Tren de Aragua, the criminals from Venezuela, took over sections of Colorado, and he was afraid.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What the hell?
Jail for 9 years because she caught people cheating. And when she walked over and got involved in it, they said she was cheating. She wasn't cheating. She caught people cheating on the election, 2020, along with a lot of other people that cheated on that election. You'll see that coming out more and more. But
yo, that's almost like breaking news. He said, yo, she got sent to jail because she caught them cheating, the governor of Colorado. That's major breaking news. Is anybody else, who else thinks this is crazy breaking news? The president of the United States just said this.
Which is a lot of people. but the number is much higher than that. That's been proven. And they've destroyed a lot of families, because when they lose a child, or even if their child is heavily addicted, you lose that family. The family will never be the same. That's why today I'm taking one more step to protect Americans from the scourge of deadly fentanyl flooding into our country. With this historic executive order I will sign today, we're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction, which is what it is. No bomb does what this is doing. 200 to 300,000 people die every year that we know of. So we're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. But before I sign the fentanyl order, we will pin these great service members with their medals. And here today are the first 13 warriors who will receive the Mexican Border Defense Medal, which is a big deal. First, I'd like to ask Secretary Hegseth and Chairman Kane to say a few words. I'd like to have Tom Homan come up, please, if you would, say a few words. And I want to thank all of the people, Pam and everybody, Stephen Miller, great Stephen Miller, what a job he's doing, for being here. Thank you both. Appreciate it very much. We have so many great people here. But I do want to ask Tom to say a few words also. So, Pete, why don't you start it off, please? Thank you.
So, man, look, hey, as you see, man, look, your boy Trump still talking shit about that ICE thing. You know, look, it is what it is, man. That's what your boy Trump he got going on over there. The next man
they get a reward
they still
anonymously. They're sent
on
to a
the
location
next
where they're
Guthrie.
paid, and no one ever knows.
That's
their
her
name.
in Savannah.
And
Big story.
if somebody has a phony tip, they're not going to get a reward in advance because there has to be an arrest.
Any idea how many tips your reward on this has generated so far?
Well, I sent the check today, so my reward hasn't been announced by Crime Stoppers in Tucson. But we're hoping that we get the one right tip. Somebody said he wanted Bitcoin in advance.
They
He knew
send
who
us
the
some money for
perpetrator
this.
was. That's not the way it works. If you pay him in advance, he can take your money and run, and you could be a phony. So this is ironclad, works.
Michael Huppy, thanks so much for coming in. Really appreciate the time.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. And TMZ founder Harvey Levin is now out front. It's good to see you again. He's been breaking news from the start of the investigation, also received the initial ransom note and multiple emails from someone claiming to know who kidnapped Nancy Guthrie. Thanks for coming back on,
Ransom
Harvey.
note.
This offer from the Milwaukee Crime Stoppers, I mean, he was just laying it out. He says it would give the person who, I guess, potentially keeps emailing you another avenue to collect a reward anonymously. He says, have you heard anything else back from that person since we spoke last night?
So we made a decision to not talk about anything we may or may not be getting from that person. Here's why, Kate. If we say, yes, we heard something, and tomorrow you ask and we say, yes, we heard something, and then the next day we say, we're not going to comment, that's a tip that maybe we got the information, and that tips off perhaps the kidnapper to move locations. So what we're going to do is not say anything about what we got from this person at this point. We are going to forward whatever information we get to the FBI, and they will do their thing. But the person who is sending us this should know there'd be a record then that he was responsible for it. I will tell you.
Hold on, man. So hold on. So y'all telling me that they telling TMZ? Oh man, the killer is calling TMZ.
Numerous communications, including an extensive one today. And so they are really pursuing this thing, and they haven't cracked it, but they are really interested in it.
Look, the
Also,
killer calling
so
TMZ
interesting.
is wow.
Everything that you're hearing.
The
And
killer
trying to
calling
navigate here
TMZ
right
is
now,
out of
Harvey.
control.
You also
I ain't
doing
gonna lie. I ain't see this
reporting
coming.
on what we were talking about.
What the hell is going on in this
holster that
case,
we see,
man?
the armed, masked man wearing out as he was outside Nancy Guthrie's door. and how important that
Look
holster
at
may
the
now
dude.
be to the investigation. What are you picking up?
Well, what
So you telling me that dude is calling the dude at TMZ, telling them that, hey, this is going on, you know what I mean?
bought that holster, and they have gone to these gun shops. I talked to one of the gun shop owners who said that they wanted to know over the last year if anybody purchased a gun there with those names. The names correspond to people in the area who bought that holster. So they want to see if there's a match, because if there is, especially because it's unusual to put a semi-automatic handgun in that type of holster, it gives them a hot lead. That's what they're looking for.
Did the owner, the shop owner that you were speaking to, say that they had any kind of, they thought, possible connections?
Not this person. They didn't.
How you know he bought it around there, man? They just grasping at straws. They don't know.
By an agent, she contacted the store and presented the list.
Super interesting. What do you know about the holster?
Well, it's, it looks like this is a Walmart holster. Look, I mean, we have talked about, we found this
Walmart
backpack
holster.
pretty quickly, that what type of backpack it is. It hasn't really been out there a lot, but we believe that the jacket he's wearing in the picture you're showing right now is an Athletic Works fusion knit jacket from Walmart. So if they were able to find the jacket, the backpack, and the holster, being purchased by one person, even over time, that's a big lead for them. So, look, Kate, what I was told today.
I mean, but shit, that could be any damn Walmart in the country. That could be any damn Walmart. That ain't just necessarily the Walmart in that area. That same shit can be sold in the Walmart in Florida, and they in Milwaukee.
There's a lot of frustration. I mean, the DNA so far is not helpful to them, although they are doing this I know they're doing this genealogy testing, and that could produce something. It could be that it's close, where it's a relative, and they start fanning out, seeing, do they have anybody who's a relative who lives, in Tucson, who's 5'9", 5'10", average build. So, that might produce something. But right now, the way it was told to me is we are doing gumshoe detective work, going in all directions, trying to figure this out.
Who doing gumshoe? It sounds like TMZ doing gumshoe. It's hard for me to believe that, all of a sudden the killer is contacted TMZ. This is what this guy said. Look, hey man, we ain't gonna say whether we ain't. You know what I mean? We don't want the kidnapper or whatever to be paying attention. Like, what the hell?
There aren't a lot of people out there that are buying those 3 items.
I don't have any indication that they've struck gold with that yet. But it's, from what I understand, not for lack of trying.
You mentioned how the FBI is really interested in the ransom note that you received, and has been spending a lot, and you even said last night, spending a lot of time on it. Can you characterize it all?
Today, particularly.
Can you characterize at all what it is that is so interesting?
No. No. And again, you and I talked about this yesterday. This is a tightrope act where we're trying to help, and at the same time, we're a news operation. And so the helpful part, it's not right for me to characterize that. But and again, not just the ransom note, but they're clearly interested in that. But they're also interested in this guy who has been sending us these emails saying he knows where Nancy and the kidnappers are, and the kidnapper is. So, it's not that they're only looking at one, they're looking at both of these things.
Man, so supposedly, now they contacted TMZ, right? This is what they doing supposedly, but that's all right. We gonna talk. We gonna go to the sheriff.
That's when your case has gone cold.
So you're saying bring it on, basically.
Bring it on. We're prepared to deal with it.
This goes with your
coming off your statement yesterday, it was a big statement, because as recently as this past weekend, and even in the press conference, that you said that everyone is on the table, everyone's being questioned. Now you've officially cleared the family of Nancy Guthrie as suspects. You called them victims in this case. What specific piece of evidence changed between, this weekend and Monday that allowed you to officially rule them out, or were they ruled out a while ago?
Out there.
They've been ruled out a while ago. Here's the thing for that. And the reason you probably saw my remarks, and they were a little terse. Look, you just as I stepped up, see, when we had our last press conference, I told you wouldn't be hearing from us for press conference. We're just not going to hold press conferences to hold press conferences. What we would tell you is, as we get information, we'll put it out, and that's happened. But when I have media, social media, news media, putting a wedge between two agencies, the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department, two agencies that consider each other viable to their existence, to be able to solve crimes, we need the FBI. The FBI needs the Sheriff's Department. When this case is all gone, there's still going to be the Sheriff's Department and the FBI. When you try to separate that, you're not just hurting those agencies, you're hurting my community. And I'm not going to stand here and let anybody say, oh, the sheriff has a bad relationship, or the sheriff blocked the evidence from the FBI. That is so far from the truth. Just as I'm not going to let anybody sit there and say mean things about our victims.
So it sounds like the sheriff got a whole nother set of problems. He coming down the pipe and he dealing with. Right? I mean, that TMZ saying, look, this is a guy that's emailing us. He's saying people talking crap about the victims. This is the actual sheriff. All right. He said, hey, Fox, the Phoenix said they sitting down talking to the sheriff.
Voice who expects somebody to stand up for them. When you say, look, this family is hurting. To say the things that have been said about them and even to speculate, I'm sorry, that's just wrong. We're human beings. We're supposed to be better than that.
Staying on this topic, you called the suspicion toward the family cruel and wrong, going to your statement. Yes. But your department did conduct multiple searches. I know you're doing your job at Annie Guthrie's house, at Nancy Guthrie's house. There was some focus initially about the son-in-law dropping Nancy off, and then it changed to the family.
But isn't that the natural progression of any investigation?
Yeah.
Is to go and see, okay, who last saw our victim?
Yeah, we understand, to go and see the last saw it. But it took y'all, didn't it take y'all like that on about a week, 2-3 weeks? But it took y'all a good minute to clear everybody. Y'all's for the longest be like, oh, we can't find the son. Oh, we can't find the daughter. Oh, the son-in-law. She was this. Man, y'all had them people under a microscope, man. So now, look, they might be a little pissed, man. I don't know.
That investigative process sort of created those optics that you see in the media, or is this social media's fault? YouTubers, true crime pundits.
Oh, blaming it on us.
Transparency, particularly from law enforcement. I think you go back a couple of years ago, George Floyd. There was a great demand for it. I'm now seeing transparency take a different turn. And in my mind, I kind of go, wow, no wonder so many chiefs or sheriffs hid from the cameras, didn't want to face that scrutiny. Transparency is not only good.
See, that's why I like playing with the hell they say. Yeah, because see, transparency. All right, we're going to remember this.
Understand that there still is a criminal investigation, that criminal investigation touches people's lives, could mean people's lives, and that transparency is set up so that we can have communication with our community to give us leads and tips on things that might be critical to us. But I can't share the whole case with them. I can't just open up the doors and say, here it is, you guys know.
I mean, you sure? Because TMZ over there saying, look, TMZ just said, look, hey, man, the person is emailing us who killed the lady. But you said you can't just open it up. TMZ opening it up. TMZ said we in the house.
But you cannot attack my victims, and you cannot put a wedge between agencies that are working hard 24/7 to solve a case.
This is two-parted, but it's been 16 days. There's been 4 ransom demands at least. At what point does it stop being a rescue and become a recovery mission? And can you finish off by addressing the camera and giving your message to the person or persons responsible for Nancy's abduction?
Your question really is on, again, the sheriff's belief from day one that Nancy's still here. You have no proof, nobody does, that she's not, that she's deceased. They asked me, do I have proof of life? I asked them, is there proof of death? I'm going to have that faith. And sometimes that faith, that hope is all we have. My team, 400 people out there in the field today, woke up this morning and went out there with the hope and the belief that they're going to find Nancy and she's going to be okay. That family has that hope and belief. I'm not crushing that. We're going to continue working this case every minute of every day. And we will find her. And we will find you. The individual doing this, let her go. Just let her go. It will work out better for you in the long run. Trust me. Just let her go. Take her to a park. Take her to hospital. Just let her go.
I mean, do y'all think that's, I don't know.
It was a one-on-one interview with the Pima County Sheriff from our partners at Fox 10, speaking about the status of the investigation as we are now in day 17 of the search for Nancy Guthrie in Tucson, Arizona. Today, the Pima County Sheriff also releasing information about DNA analysis from a glove that was found about 2 miles away from Nancy's home, saying that glove did not trigger a match in the National FBI's DNA database. And they say it was found at the property. The DNA found at the property is being analyzed and further testing needs to be done as part of the—
So they just finding random gloves. Nothing's really matching. Don't nobody seem to know nothing. Once again, man, and this whole Nancy Guthrie thing, man, it is what it is, man. We're going to get back to it.
He worked as
That's all right. But right now, man, we're going to get back
Reverend
to
Jackson's
Jesse
personal
Jackson. Reverend
assistant
Jesse
as well.
Jackson died
And he was
today.
like a second father
Breaking
to him.
news.
And
Reverend Jesse
so he worked
Jackson
between 2007
dies
and
today.
2008, and he helped put Alderman Hall on his current path.
Tribute to Reverend
He saw in me what I didn't see in myself at that time. And traveling the world with him wasn't about, the celebrity of him. It was to serve him. And from the time he opened his eyes, which, depending on the time zone, was 2 a.m, man. And from the time he woke up to the time he, put his head back on that pillow, my priority was to make sure that he had everything he needed to be the best at serving people.
Wow.
You hear a lot about that relationship, the way that he really touched people, not just in public service, but from people in the highest halls of power to people that were on the streets of Chicago. That relationship with the alderman, it sounds like there was kind of this mutual respect for each other. Did you pick that up in the interview?
Very much so. I mean, he said this was his second father, and he listened to him. And he initially offered him a job. He turned it down because the money wasn't very good.
He turned it down.
He turned down the job. Then he offered it to him again with a little bit more money, but that allowed him to travel the world and be on this political path and to serve. And that's the thing. It's about serving the people. And that's the most important thing that you learn from him.
And he said one of the things I kind of seemed to pull away from him was he believed.
Say what you want, man. Jesse Jackson had a little machine. He even got a son, the congressman, daggone in Illinois. Look, hey, say what you want to about Jesse Jackson. I know a lot of y'all laughing, oh man, Jesse Jackson. Look, Jesse Jackson had a little machine with the Push Coalition. You can call it what you want. You can say, man, he was crooked, whatever. He got a lot of shit done, I'm telling you.
His role as alderman of the 6th Ward.
Part of his legacy, part of Reverend Jackson's legacy,
Part
for sure.
of the story.
Thank you,
Christian Forrest,
Kristen.
good to see you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll be back with more on Reverend Jesse Jackson and the impact that he had and has had on young people.
Hey, I might can agree with you. Look, I just want to know how in the world.
Back to our coverage of the death of Reverend Jesse Jackson.
Do I
Passed
get
away early
this
this morning
glowing?
here in Chicago.
Hey,
Jackson had a way of
this how
encouraging
you get this
young
glowing
people,
review
encouraging them to dream
of your
big
life
and to
after
chase
you pass by the
excellence.
news?
Regina Waldrop is here now. And Regina, you
Great.
spoke with some students today about his impact and his legacy.
Yeah, Marion, we went to St. Sabina, which is a Catholic school in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood. So Reverend Jackson, not just somebody who is talked about today, the day of his passing, he is someone that is part of their lesson plan. So all year long, he is someone that they talk about. So I want you to listen what some students said about Reverend Jackson today.
We was talking about how Jesse Jackson was and
Damn, they in the school.
outstanding person and how
He's crazy.
Gave us the ability to be able to come to the school today and giving us the ability to have equal rights as other people. And his famous quote is, "Believe in yourself." And every day I come to school and believe in myself and strive for greatness.
God knows what the hell do we got? What the hell do we got to do to get this kind of daggone coverage?
Chicago and this week should make their children do research on Reverend Jackson. We have the internet. We have Google. Look it up. Study him. See what he did, how he began as a young person, and how he vowed to be a leader in the country and making a difference around the world. He brought home hostages.
So if Reverend Jackson is not being discussed in your school, Father Flager says, again, you have the internet, look it up. If not for anything else, have your students, have your children take a...
This is crazy.
For me, I woke up my 14-year-old this morning. I said, Reverend Jackson has passed. She said, oh, no. I said, you know who that is? And she said, absolutely.
Oh, good.
Absolutely.
You are her mom, however. So we know that you're going to get that message across. But one thing I think is really interesting.
And they ain't say nothing about this bed. He been alive all this time, man. I mean, they won't say none of this. I mean, come on, man. Now, look.
Well, there's that public persona that we all know so much, but there are also things in private. So my mother loved Reverend Jackson. A woman from the South came here, part of that great migration. She grew up listening to him on the radio. And so a few years ago, she became ill, and I was at Rainbow Push one weekend covering a story. And I told Reverend Jackson's PR person, I said, hey, she had, you have a big fan in Barbara Waldrop. He says, oh yeah, give me your number. We're going to go visit your mom. And I said, well, okay, let's see what happens. I get a text one day, we're on our way.
Wow.
To see Barbara Waldrop.
And he came.
And my mother was very ill. She had dementia. Mm-hmm. She was paralyzed. Mm-hmm. He came to see Barbara Waldrop.
What did that mean for you? That he, someone, such a big figure here in Chicago.
See, yeah, you know what I mean? Hey, I understand. See, he came to see Mom Dukes, man. That, like I said, hey, you understand, man. You understand, man. That's all right. Don't worry about it.
And I think they'd like to get back to
Russia. Good
more normal way of life.
Mr. President, follow up there. An Article 5 deal
How they asking your boy Trump questions
without
right.
NATO membership for Ukraine. If such a security guarantee is offered, what incentive is there for Ukraine to give up any sort of territory?
Well, look, you have, they've already lost the territory, to be honest. I mean, the territory is lost. But in terms of security guarantee, we're working with Europe on it. Europe would be a big part of that. And we're working on the security guarantee so the war doesn't start up again. We don't want to have a war start up again. As I said, with Thailand and Cambodia, two people I get along with great. And I dealt with them and I called them and I said, look, fellas, you got to relax. You got to take it easy. They lost. They started the war again. And I got it ended. And things like that.
Man, I don't be knowing if stuff really be ended over there, man. It's like, he just like, hey, the territory lost, man. Don't fight for it no more. It's over.
Made a lot of progress with respect to Russia and Ukraine. I hope I hope. You know, last month it was close to 27,000 soldiers were killed, mostly soldiers, but 27,000 people, but mostly soldiers were killed last month in Russia versus Ukraine.
Is there a time limit on security guarantees?
Well, there's no time limit. The time limit is whenever we get it done. I mean, we're going to try to get it done. We're making progress. It's more difficult than anybody could have thought. I would have said that half of the wars that I got settled, some were going for over 30 years, that half of them should have been more difficult, and they actually haven't been. There's a lot of dislike between the two leaders, you know that. And so it probably makes it a little bit tough.
Spoken directly to Putin? Have you recently spoken directly to Putin?
Yeah, I have.
On Syria, Mr. President, on the U.S. troops killed in Syria over the weekend, why do we have troops in Syria?
Because we're trying to make sure that there's going to be and remain peace in the Middle East, and Syria is a big part of it. The new leader is a strong person, and that's what you need. This is a rough part of the world, and it's been amazing what's taken place in Syria. We got rid of Assad. We got rid of other people that were really bad people and that were in the way of peace in the Middle East. You know, we have
nation building. Y'all know what that means. That means some damn nation building. Don't act like you don't know what it means when you hear you say, "Oh, we're gonna have peace in the Middle East and we got rid of Assad." Yeah, the same thing they just did in Venezuela. Y'all
go in and clean that out if we want them to do it. But they said, in the case of Hamas, they said that they're going to disarm, and we're going to find out whether or not that's true. Hezbollah in Lebanon has been a problem. We'll see what happens there. But there is legitimate, large-scale peace in the Middle East. And if there weren't, we wouldn't have been able to make all of those deals that we've made with the various countries. They would have never been able to do that. If, for instance, if we didn't, with that B-2 bomber right there on the desk, if we didn't, of which we just ordered a lot more of the newer version, totally stealth. They could not see it. They knew it was coming. They had no idea where it was. It was pretty amazing, actually. Every bomb hit its mark perfectly, despite CNN trying to say differently. They didn't know. They just, hoped. They hoped that we didn't, but turned out that they did. Atomic Energy Commission confirmed it. So did Iran confirm it. They got knocked to hell. But if we didn't knock out their nuclear capability, we would have never had peace in the Middle East, because you would have had a dark cloud hanging over Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, and all the other countries, and they would have never, ever been able to sign an agreement. Yeah, please.
How soon do you expect that international stabilization force to be up and running in Gaza?
I think that it's, in a form, it's already running. In a very strong form, it's already. But it'll get stronger and stronger, and more countries are coming into it. They're already in, but they'll send any number of troops.
Basically, they taking over Gaza.
We have more than 59 countries. We have many countries that aren't even in the Middle East, but they're fairly close to the Middle East. They want to be involved. So it's been pretty amazing.
They want to be involved. Take over Gaza.
We had a long discussion, and things are seemingly going well, but we've been saying that for a long time, and it's a difficult one. We had, as you know, settled 8 wars, and one was having a little problem yesterday, Thailand and Cambodia. We were able to straighten that out. There was some killing going on that shouldn't have happened, and we appreciate them working to get it straightened out, and they have. The security protocols yesterday were amazing, and they have been amazing, having to do with Russia and Ukraine. And I had a long talk with President Zelensky. Also, I spoke with the heads of Germany, Italy, NATO, Finland, France, United Kingdom, Poland, Norway, Denmark, and the Netherlands. We had very long and very good talks. And again, I think things are going along pretty well. 27,000 soldiers were killed last month. Shouldn't happen. Should have never happened. Should have never started. That war should have never, ever started. But it did, and we're trying to get it solved. That was Biden's situation. We're trying to get it done. And I think we're closer now, and they will tell you that they're closer now. We had numerous conversations with President Putin of Russia, And
now I don't know. You said they still fighting, but now it's hey, it's now we closer than we ever been. It was real bad under Biden. Now it's me. I'm making it better. The great Trump.
Soldiers, mostly soldiers, other people too, from towns, and like places like Kiev, various other places throughout Ukraine. It's pretty bad. Nobody's seen anything like it, actually, since World War II. But
I told y'all, man, didn't I tell y'all the other night? Look, man, every time you turn around, his favorite line, man, I swear, it ain't nothing like it. The greatest you ever said. It's the best we ever did. It's almost like, yo, I'm telling you, it's just nothing like it. Nothing like you've ever seen before. It's like, yo, you keep saying that. Every damn thing you do, you just keep saying that.
Very good talk. On day one of my administration, I signed an executive order making it core mission of the United States military to protect and defend their homeland. And today, we're here to honor our military men and women for their central role in the protection of our border, something that I campaigned very, very strongly on. And they made me look really good. They're unbelievable. They made us all look good. I mean, we went from having millions of people pouring over our border to having none in the last 8 months, none. In a few moments, we'll officially recognize their service by awarding them the Mexican Border Defense Medal, which is a big deal. We're joined for this occasion by Secretary
and every damn thing is a big deal.
Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dan Kane, Commander of U.S. Northern Command, General Gregory Gio, Commander of the Southern Border Task Force, Major General Scott Noman, Command Sergeant Major Brett Johnson of the U.S. Army's 10th Mountain Division, Administrator of the Drug Enforcement Agency, Terry Cole, and many other members of our administration who have done an incredible job on the border. You know, people forget now that the border has been secure for actually 7 months. Think of it, more. And they don't mention the border anymore. Nobody talks about the border. They talk about affordability, and we're the ones that are bringing the prices down. We were given the worst inflation in our country's history, and we're bringing the prices down. But the affordability is on the Democrats because they have made it unaffordable to be in this country. But we're bringing those prices down, and they're coming down quickly. Energy is coming way down, and if you look, gasoline prices are hitting in many locations $1.99 a gallon. Nobody thought they'd see that. There were 4 or 5.
Man, I'm still looking for where it is $1.99 at. Y'all tell me where it's $1.99 at.
Our southern border was surrendered to criminals, drug cartels, human traffickers, and child smugglers. Our entire southwest border, the Mexican side, is under the physical control of cartels that are among the most violent entities nobody's ever seen anywhere on the planet. The most violent people on the planet. Remember when the Democrats and others, the radical left, used to say that the people they're allowing into our country, immigrants, are nice people. They're not violent like our people. Well, they make our people look like babies. These are some of the most violent criminals anywhere on earth from many countries, not just Venezuela. Venezuela emptied their jails into our country, but others have also. The Congo has. So many other countries have. And we don't put up with it. I have to say the drugs coming in by sea are down 94%. And we're trying to figure out who the other 6% are. But they're down 94%.
Yeah, man. So as you see, man, Big Trump talking about daggone, look, hey, he talking about what's going on. You know what I mean? But like I said, they still talking about
has been brought to justice. So this is just a distraction. The American people want to see justice on these files. The Congress has asked for this. It's not going away, Pamela. And as I said, I'm not going away.
Notably,
the victims aren't going away. More important.
We'll certainly, and we will continue to talk to them. Notably missing from that letter, I noticed, were names like longevity Dr. Peter Attia and Steve Tisch, co-owner of the Giants, both of whom communicated with Epstein in the emails in the most recent dump of files. They haven't been accused of any wrongdoing. But what do you make of that? This big list of names, including Marilyn Monroe and Elvis Presley, and then those names not actually being on the list.
And also, by the way, the name that is listed the most in these files and talked about the most is Donald Trump. And of all the people that Jeffrey Epstein talked to in the world, and it looks like this guy got around, and there are millions of files, and Donald Trump's name is mentioned many, many times, up to 1 million. Some are speculating through the searches. There's only one person that Jeffrey Epstein described as his best friend, and that's Donald Trump. But the effort since this summer, and I want to just walk you through the timeline, has been to avoid this at all costs on the Republican side. They refused to swear in Adelita Grijalva when she would have been the person that got the Epstein discharge over the goal line. During the summer, they were willing to shut down the government because they didn't want these files to be released. And again, the Department of Justice won't release all of the files now, and many of them, are redacted, and only about 50% have come forward. It's a cover-up job at the Department of Justice, but we're not going away.
And certainly Trump's name has been in there quite a lot, and he has not been accused of any wrongdoing. But certainly it raises questions the way that this release has happened, as you noted, from the survivors themselves who have been on this show and have asked why it's being handled this way and why some names are redacted, others aren't. And this letter lists reasons why the Justice Department redacted information.
Do y'all believe the Justice Department did the right thing, redacted some names? You think they just should have let everything go? You think they got something to hide? What's your thought on the Epstein file release?
Well, to keep taking the Department of Justice to court, I'd recommend that in the next round of funding for the Department of Justice, we withhold funding until they get this right. And I was a former, sexual assault prosecutor in California, and you don't have to have done that job to understand why this is important. But when I talk to Californians, this is one of the most important issues to them. The Epstein files are not just about documents. Many people see this as a final exam for democracy. Either the most powerful people in Washington are going to hold to account these monsters, or they're going to protect them. And right now, I think you're better.
You see, just a minute ago, y'all tried to say Jeffrey Epstein's best friend was Donald Trump, though. I mean, see, that's just a little. This is where I'd be like, all right, I think y'all stretching it now. I don't think the man best
family thrust into the spotlight after being named hundreds of times in the latest tranche of Epstein files. The saga involving the late sex offender had already engulfed both their parents, the former Prince Andrew and his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. Now, new details have emerged about Epstein's friendship with the princess's mother, who seems to have brought her daughters into his orbit even after he was convicted for sex offences. A series of emails released by the Department of Justice indicate that Ferguson, Eugenie, and Beatrice all visited Epstein in Miami in 2009, just 5 days after he was released from jail. He served 13 months for soliciting prostitution from a minor. Do you need a ride? Epstein asks before they lunch. No, thank you, the former Duchess replies, adding it'll be myself, Beatrice and Eugenie, at a time when they were 20 and 19 years old. In a subsequent email, Ferguson tells Epstein, cannot wait to see you. A separate thread between Epstein and his personal assistant days earlier also appears to indicate that he paid about $14,000 for the trio's flights to the US. And here's another email chain, nearly 2 years later, in 2011, between Epstein, Ferguson, and her then spokesperson. In it, the former Duchess says that Beatrice advised her on how to handle a British journalist to whom she had given a statement about Epstein. Just last year, Ferguson's spokesperson said she had...
I think Epstein, man, I don't know.
...of the extent of the allegations. But all these DOJ files suggest otherwise. As for Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor, Beatrice and Eugenie's father, he remains under pressure from his ties to Epstein. The disgraced former prince has previously denied any wrongdoing, including after he reached an out-of-court settlement with a woman who said she was trafficked to him as a teen. Beatrice and Eugenie have kept a low profile through all of this, and there's no suggestion of wrongdoing simply because they've been named in the Epstein files.
New messages between Steve Bannon and Jeffrey Epstein released in the Epstein files have ignited something of a civil war in MAGA world. In one message, Bannon suggests President Trump should be removed from office during his first term for erratic behavior. The Department of Justice also released a 2-hour video of Bannon interviewing Epstein for a potential documentary. This is Bannon asking about Epstein's time spent in prison in 2008.
You're telling me that during that day, you never had a moment you sat there and go, what the have I done with my life? I'm in a 6x9 jail cell.
You're suggesting I was somewhat depressed, and how could this happen to me?
I'm not saying depressed. I'm saying a moment of awareness of how could I get myself into this situation?
No, I would just say how strange that this happens. Just, it's strange. People would either ask to borrow money or make some other types of comments about it. In the beginning.
What were the comments? At the beginning, what were the comments?
It serves you rich guys right that you're here next to me.
There was nothing about your crimes.
No.
So all this rumor you hear all the time about people in prison that commit the type of crimes you commit, you're saying in your personal thing is not true.
No.
It was all because you were rich.
Yes.
Bannon did not return messages from CNN, but said in a statement to the New York Times that his communication with Epstein was all done to, quote, secure 50 hours of interviews from a reclusive subject. For more on this, I want to bring in David Urban, former Trump campaign advisor and CNN senior political commentator. David, great to see you. You're shaking your head. I want to get to why in just a second. You know, the 25th Amendment reference.
Hey, did y'all ever think we gonna get to the bottom of any of this Epstein stuff? I mean, look, I think it's gonna have to spread over multiple administrations because these people ain't gonna want to put out their shit. These people ain't gonna want to put out their shit, and it's gonna take years, man. We're gonna be old by the time we figure out what the hell is in this shit.
What he may do, and then Bannon replies, I think it's beyond borderline 25th Amendment. Now, we reached out to Bannon on this exchange and have not received a response, but people like Roger Stone and Marjorie Taylor Greene are speaking out. So tell me about why you were shaking your head and tell me what you were hearing inside the president's supporters.
Yeah, so, John, you said also, you left out General Flynn and many, many others. If you go to Twitter and just look at, MAGA influencers or just Google, or put in the Twitter search, Bannon, Epstein, see what comes up. There is not one supporter, not one MAGA person that's supporting Steve Bannon for a variety of reasons. One, it looks like he signed up to try to rehabilitate a person who committed horrendous sex crimes. You hear him in the interview with Jeffrey Epstein. He doesn't say nobody in prison talked to you about being a pedophile. He doesn't call him out. He's trying to be polite to him, it seems. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And there's something like 19 other hours of tape that have yet to been released that Steve Bannon says that he's keeping because he was some sort of double secret agent and was going to really try to blow Jeffrey Epstein up. Well, Roger Stone and many others in the MAGA universe think that that's a crock. And if Steve Bannon is going to be out there trying to defend himself, he better get out there quickly because the narrative does not look good for Steve Bannon at this point. It looks like he was out there to line his pockets defending a sex offender.
How do you think the president will react to all of this?
Listen, so Steve Bannon got a pardon at one point in time along the route here. We know that they were close. I am, from what I hear lately is that there have not been that much communication with Steve Bannon and any senior officials in the administration in lieu of these revelations.
Yo, he getting out again just like he did last time. Oh, come on, man, stop playing games like y'all don't know what's gonna happen.
Any more than he's far away, getting further, and I know that this most recent revelation is going to push that boat even further away from this administration.
Yeah, again, we'll have to see if the president is asked in any detail about this, but that comment about the 20th Amendment was 2018. It's hard to imagine what was going through Bannon's head at that point. David Urban, thank you for explaining the discussions that are taking place.
Not going away, John, not going away.
Doesn't appear to be. David Urban, thank you.
6 companies listing Britain's Sarah Ferguson as sole director are set to shut down as the Epstein firestorm rolls on. The former Duchess and her ex-husband, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, are under renewed scrutiny over their ties to the late financier after Epstein pleaded guilty to prostitution charges involving an underage minor. Last year, Ferguson's spokesperson said she'd cut off relations.
Estate. And we had no idea nobody knew. Nobody knew
I
what was in the
understand, but
estate documents. And I, without hesitation, subpoenaed the estate. We've subpoenaed the Department of Justice.
and that's where we got the birthday letter. We subpoenaed
Because
the
of
estate. Hold on,
the
Mr.
subpoena, right.
Okay, we got the birthday letter, but we can't just get the evidence and then not follow up on the evidence that we actually get. I will relinquish the rest of my time to the chair.
Thank you. I just want to really clarify one. Thank you very much, Representative Crockett. Just to back to Mr. Walkinshaw point, I think it's important to clarify that in communication, Mr. Chair, with your team and the back and forth with the emails, the Clinton team made it clear that they wanted to answer questions about Epstein, but that was not something that your team agreed to, only about Epstein. And so that's, I just want to make sure to clarify, and I appreciate you clarifying, Mr. Comer, that you said that you would limit the questions to only Epstein. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I
And
think
what the
that's-
Clinton said that is not true. What their lawyer said is a complete lie.
Well, I'm glad that you clarified for them, because it's been their impression that I'm just telling you, it's been their impression.
He's paid them too much money then over the last 5 months.
Sir, I'm just reading emails, and I'm just reading the back and forth between them and your team. It's been their impression that those questions were going to be beyond just Epstein. And so I'm glad that's been clarified. So thank you, Mr. Walkinshaw.
Chair recognizes Mr. McGuire from Virginia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with you. 5 months is plenty of time. The Clintons are doing everything they can to avoid questioning. And the American people want to hear from the Clintons. You know, Bill Clinton brought Epstein to...
I guess they trying to get Clinton, the Clintons, Bill and Hillary Clinton, to come to Congress, man. Bill and Hillary Clinton said, I ain't coming nowhere near Congress.
People want to hear from them. I don't understand why our friends on the left can't understand that. They support these crazy policies like open borders, 20 million people coming to our country. They've been robbing, raping, and killing the American people. You know, Lake and Rowley would still be alive. And instead of protecting law-abiding citizens, they defend the criminals, and they want to have a defund the police movement. It makes no sense. These criminals they put back on the street, recommit the same crime, and they're like, why did they commit the same crime? All Americans have the same goal, the same American dream. We want to live, work, and raise our family in peace. You just might disagree on how to get there, but the Democrats seem to always be wrong. The American people don't want boys undressing in girls' locker rooms, but for some reason, the Democrats support that. 5 months is plenty of time.
I thought they were talking about the Epstein files. He didn't went into this tangent about.
But they definitely did. And with that, I yield the remainder of my time back to Ms. Luna.
Thank you. I just kind of want to point out, first of all, specifically to the letter, the hand sketch that was allegedly the president's. I believe there's a $10 billion lawsuit that was filed that, according to the president, the organization that published that is actually trying to currently settle. So just to clarify. But aside from that, I wanted to actually ask Mr. Min a question, if he's here still, if he would be willing to vote for a contempt in the Clintons if they refuse to come in and testify on a fine of about $1,000 a day until they comply with the subpoena. But I don't know if he's here. Is he still here? No. Okay. Well, I think that that's just something to consider. You know, we have the...
Bruh, see, y'all pissing me. Look, you probably knew they ass won't dare. See, man.
Is reason for pause for Democrats not wanting to vote for that based on the fact that President Clinton was a former president. I understand the optics of that, and I also understand re-elections. However, nonetheless, the Clintons are defying a subpoena. So sometimes financially, people can be motivated, especially if there's a fine. And that's something that we actually all reserve the right to vote on. And I think that that's actually a very good option, especially being that most Americans would go to jail for defying subpoenas. And so I do not think that there needs to be any special accommodations made, especially given the nature.
Ma'am, the Clintons ain't coming to Congress, man. They not getting grilled by y'all. I don't know what makes y'all think they gonna show up to Congress for a former president and Hillary Clinton go show up there to get grilled by y'all. They retired from politics.
Do you yield to me for a question?
Yes.
So it seems like you're open to changing this, what we're voting on today, so that way we can get to a place where we actually hear from them. Is that right? Is that what I'm hearing?
What I want, yes, I would like to have the Clintons coming into Congress to give a transcribed deposition.
Yeah.
I think that Chairman Comer has made that clear, but I also think having just Garcia and Comer drive all the way up to New York without that, I think that optically that sends a very bad message as the separation of powers and authorities Congress has. And then I also too think that, it's kind of a slap in the face to people that typically would not have those accommodations made for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
With that also, being
The Clintons are retired. They not coming out of retirement to talk to y'all. Y'all, I guess maybe y'all thought y'all just had the power to subpoena former presidents. Man, former presidents be like, look, we ain't coming out of retirement to come in there and talk to y'all. All right? I'm an old president. I don't know what made you think I'm coming out of retirement to talk to you, ma'am.
if it's politically motivated, that's impeding an investigation. And I'm tired of judges, if they get involved in investigations in Congress, trying to obstruct. And so I just putting this out there, I'm going to be trying to impeach that judge unless he can basically give a waiver, let the DOJ release the files immediately.
Yeah, and just real quick, I just want to say on the general thing, I agree. I mean, I think it would be best if the ranking member and chair can huddle and figure out how we can change it so we can actually hear from them. Because my concern too, and the other thing is, there's no faster way to make sure that we never actually hear from them in person than moving forward a criminal contempt that says put them in jail. I mean, we're just not going to hear from them for our investigation. And so, I mean, I agree if they can come to something to figure out how can we move forward in a way where we're actually, there's a pathway to hear from them. I'm for that. So
to be clear, I do not agree with what the Clintons are doing. Okay. And I think that they need to come in here to explain. But I do think that when you go after someone's pocketbook, I think that they quickly change their tune. And I think that they might be compelled to come in. I also don't want to set the
in Dayton, Texas. Fox 26 has a reporter there on the ground speaking to officials with the latest on this. This is from their show just a few minutes ago.
Once again, I'm being joined by the Liberty County Fire Marshal, Nathan Green. This has been going on for roughly 4 hours now, correct?
We've been out here about 4 hours, yes. The fire chief of the Dayton Fire Department
Fire
was en
in
route
Dayton,
to a motor vehicle accident when he saw something that didn't look right. And when he came down here to investigate is when he discovered that it was actually this pile on fire.
You've got a lot of volunteer firefighters out here battling this place.
That is correct. 80% of the firefighters out here are volunteers. We do have some paid crews from other agencies that have come in and mutual aided.
What's your concern about this particular fire that could possibly be killed?
Yeah, this a blaze at recycling plant in Dayton, Texas.
Refrigerators, washers, dryers, and then there's the unknowns. We don't know what's in there, from the paint cans, just anything metal from household use is what this pile particularly was made of.
We've been hearing a lot of kind of loud booms. You think that could maybe be cans and things in the fire?
That's everything from paint cans, spray cans, sealed cans that didn't puncture when it went through the first round of shredding. We also think that some of the larger ones could possibly be some old propane cylinders off your barbecue pit that did not go through the shredding process the first time around.
As a precautionary measure, you have a shelter in place. Tell me the area of the shelter in place.
The shelter in place has been put out for bordering within the boundary of Highway 90 to 99, the Grand Parkway, up to 1960, and then 1960 back down to Highway 90 in Dayton.
And folks that live in the area you just described, they need to stay inside, keep the windows closed.
That is correct. Keep the doors closed, windows closed. Don't come outside trying to see if you can see something. We'll just watch the news and you can see better pictures than what you can see from your house.
And that'll probably extend into the morning?
At this point, until the fire has died down and the smoke plume has, we know exactly where it's going as the weather changes overnight, it will stay in place and at least till sun up.
And that's the question now, right? I mean, when will you be able to put this completely out?
We're not going to be able to put it out. Metal fires cannot be put out necessarily.
You just let it burn itself out?
We're controlling it, keeping it contained to the pile where it originated and doing everything that they need to do to keep it from spreading to the piles adjacent to it.
Fire Marshal Nathan Green, thank you so much. You've been a huge help. We do have on our website, we've got a map of the shelter-in-place area, so be sure to check that out. Reporting live from Dayton, Randy Wallace, Fox 26 News.
That was Fox 26 in Houston with the latest on this fire burning out.
Praise fire, man, in Dayton, Texas, man. right? Hey, recycling plant, man, them boys went home. I don't know. Hey, I don't know what's going on, man, what happened with that one, but hey, fire, look, a lot of loss, man. The blaze goes along, blaze goes along in Dayton, Dayton, Texas. Dayton, Texas, man. But we're gonna get on back to the big story tonight. Man, look, hey, Jessie didn't got some look. Jessie couldn't ask for any better coverage than he didn't got. You know what I mean? But hey, at the end of the day, man, look, at the end of the day, look, Jessie, man, look, hey, I guess he did the right thing, man. Guess he did the right thing. But yo, man, appreciate y'all, man, coming through, hollering at your boy, man, with that late night news. Yeah, that late night news, man. If we gonna feel, look, man, y'all do me a favor, man. Y'all hit that like button on the way in out for your boy. Y'all know what time it is, man. We'll get a little bit of a minister on the way out. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel.
You go to Nigeria, which is, if not the most corrupt nation in Africa, and it is, it could be the most corrupt nation in the world, Minister Farrakhan.
Oh, now, Mr. Wallace.
It is the most corrupt nation that I have ever covered. I've been there 25 years ago, and I've been there as recently as last year.
Fine. So what? 35 years old. That's what that nation is. Now, here's America, 226 years old. You love democracy? But there in Africa, you're trying to force these people into a system of government that you just have accepted 30 years ago. Black folk got the right to vote. You're not in any moral position to tell anybody how corrupt they are. You should be quiet and let those of us who know our people go there and help them get out of that condition. But America should keep her mouth shut wherever there's a corrupt regime, as much hell as America has raised on the earth. No, I will not allow America, or you, Mr. Wallace, to condemn them as the most corrupt nation on earth when you have spilled the blood of human beings. Has Nigeria dropped an atomic bomb and killed people in Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Have they killed off millions of Native Americans? How dare you put yourself in that position as a moral judge? I think you should keep quiet, because with that much blood on America's hands, you have no right to speak. I will speak because I don't have that blood on my hand. Yes, there's corruption there. Yes, there's mismanagement of resources. Yes, there is abuse. There's abuse in every nation on earth, including this one. So let's not play holy to moralize on them. Let's help them.
I'm not moralizing. I'm asking a question, and I got an answer.
Why would you put it as the most corrupt regime in the world? That doesn't make sense.
Can you think of one more corrupt?
Yeah, I'm living in one. I'm living in one. Yes, you've done a hell of a thing on this earth, so you should not be the one to talk. You should be quiet when it comes to moral condemnation. In my judgment. I didn't mean to be so fiery.
No, that's good. That's good.
That's my passion.
She got a big ass body with some little ass breasts. Do like a gorilla, bitch, and beat on your chest. Big ass body with some little ass breasts. Do like a gorilla, bitch, and beat on your chest. Silverback, 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 beat on your chest. Big ass body with some little ass breasts. Do like a gorilla, bitch, and beat on your chest. Silverback, 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 she got a big ass body with some little ass breasts. Do like a gorilla, bitch, and beat on your chest. Silverback, silverback, silverback.
Wait.